The UFC dropped a couple of surprising welterweight fight announcements on us on Friday during the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight. Now, I'm just catching up on all the news, getting the videos out. We had a big fight weekend, okay, guys? So the two fights that were announced at welterweight is you have Belal Muhammad, of course, is out of the UFC 310 main event, which was supposed to be a title fight against Shavkat Rakhmonov. He has accepted a 5-round co-main event non-title fight against Ian Garry. Now, Ian Garry was supposed to be fighting the week after this at UFC Tampa against Joaquin Buckley. His slot in that main event has been filled with Colby Covington, who is going to be taking a fight on less than a month's notice against an up-and-coming contender, which is actually insane. So we're going to talk about both of these fights, and I'll give you some predictions and all that. So first off, Belal Muhammad is off of the UFC 310 card. He had an infection in his foot. He will not be able to fight. Shavkat Rakhmonov, or an interim belt, was being discussed against Ian Garry, against Kamaru Usman, Jack Della Maddalena. There was a lot of options out there, but Shavkat Rakhmonov ends up taking a 5-round non-title co-main event #1 contenders fight against Ian Garry at UFC 310, which means that Kai Asakura, coming over from Ryzen, moving down in weight, challenging for the flyweight belt against Alexandre Pantoja, is going to be the new main event. Nick Diaz is also off of the card as well. Vicente Luque is going to be fighting Themba Gorimbo. Nick Diaz does not seem to be in the best mental condition to be competing in combat sports right now, so he's been pulled off that card. Now, the replacement for Ian Garry in the main event of UFC Tampa is Colby Covington, and I do not like this fight for Colby Covington. I'll get back to that in a sec. In this fight, it's an incredible matchup, guys. This is really an incredible matchup. I think that Shavkat Rakhmonov and Ian Garry are the future of this division. I could see them even rematching at some point with a belt on the line. You have 18-0 Shavkat Rakhmonov, all finishes, 10 submissions, 8 KOs against undefeated Ian Garry, who has a much more tactical and boring fight style. He's much less inclined to get into a firefight than Shavkat Rakhmonov is. But hey, we have two undefeated prospects. In the co-main event going 5 rounds, we're seeing a lot of non-title and non-main event fights that are going 5 rounds these days. We just had Oliveira Chandler as 5 rounds this past weekend. Now, Shavkat versus Ian Garry. I think Shavkat's really going to put it on him. Shavkat, he's not super active, which makes it a little bit less negative, like a little bit less harmful, that he takes a lot of damage and he trusts his chin so much because he's not fighting every 8 weeks like Alex Pereira. He's fighting every 9 to 10 months at this point in his career. So like 1.5 fights per year, something like that. And Ian Garry does not really hit all that hard. We've seen him cook the likes of Neil Magny and knock out Daniel Rodriguez. But recently, he's been very gun shy. He was afraid to be on the feet with MVP. And so he took MVP down. He was the first fighter in UFC history to win a fight by decision without landing a significant strike on the feet, which is crazy. Shavkat Rakhmonov is a much better grappler offensively and defensively than Michael Venom Page. So Ian Garry can't necessarily just opt for an easier road by going to the ground against Shavkat Rakhmonov. This is going to be a really tough fight for Ian Garry, and I think Shavkat Rakhmonov is really going to put it on him. I think it could go into the later rounds, but I think I'm going to take Shavkat Rakhmonov by like a round 4 finish. I think that Ian Garry tries to get too cute, maybe shoots for a takedown. He starts to fade and get discouraged as Shavkat just continues to push forward, defend takedowns, eat big shots that Ian Garry throws. I think Shavkat's going to win this fight fairly decisively and then fight Belal for the title. I think that's next. So I think that Shavkat Rakhmonov is going to get a late round finish against Ian Garry and move on to 19-0 with all finishes. Now we move on to the replacement main event for UFC Tampa, which is very interesting. We have Colby Covington, for once in his life, taking a short notice fight, and for once in his life, second time over, against an up-and-coming prospect, somebody that's not a big name. It's not a title fight. This is interesting. And I think that Colby could get slept badly and muscled around, because consider this. Joaquin Buckley was a middleweight that has come down to 170. Colby Covington is a small 170-pounder that cuts almost no weight. I think that Colby almost could drop down to 155 if he wanted to have like a big weight cut like some of the guys do, like Dustin Poirier and Charles Oliveira. I assume he's probably about the same size as those guys, but he's going to be going up against a former middleweight. I think that Joaquin Buckley's going to hurt him badly. I think that Colby Covington's career is cooked after this fight. I think this is the last time we see Colby Covington. It would be refreshing to see him come out and fight aggressively and potentially get a win. I just don't think he can stack up with the physicality of Joaquin Buckley. And Joaquin Buckley, this is a huge opportunity to grow his name. You know, he called out Conor McGregor, which was a really dumb call out, but he does get Colby Covington. This is going to be a high-profile fight for Joaquin Buckley. Close out the year in front of fans in Tampa Bay, in an arena, last fight of the year. He's going to be the last fight of 2024. He could be set up for a massive, massive 2025 with a win over Colby Covington. He called out McGregor. He got Colby. He called out Usman. He didn't get it. But if he beats Covington, an Usman call-out makes a lot of sense unless Usman ends up fighting Jack Della Maddalena in Australia in February, which has been rumored. But we got some sick fights. This is awesome. And UFC 310 stacked, even with the removal of Bilal Muhammad, even with the fact that they didn't add another title fight, even with the fact that they removed Nick Diaz from the card. It's a big card. It's a good way to close out the year with these two guys, or with these two cards. You have 310, and then you have Joaquin Buckley and Colby Covington. It's a fantastic way to close out 2024. And I'm going to take Buckley in this fight, and I'm going to take Shavkat in this fight. So let me know what you guys think down below. We're kind of seeing this welterweight division be the first division to kind of shape into the next generation, where you're seeing these prospects getting to fight the old guard, and they're like, of this generation, they're finally starting to pass it over. Lightweight, you still have the big name vets fighting each other, like Oliveira Chandler, Poirier Gaethje Holloway, all that type of stuff. You still have those big name fights that are with the old guard, but we're seeing a resurgence. Actually, we're seeing a turnover at welterweight with these stars emerging out of different regions of the world and being relatively young. We're in the next generation of welterweight for sure. That includes guys like Carlos Prates. I already made a video about that. You guys can go watch that. Welterweight's the sickest division in the sport right now, and I'm excited. So winner of this fight's going to fight Bilal Muhammad. Winner of this fight, probably a #1 contenders fight, something like that. But exciting stuff, guys. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching this video. Please make sure to like, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. It really helps me out a lot. If you want access to bonus content, become a channel member today by clicking the join button on our channel homepage or the link down below this video. If you're interested in some non-MMA content from me, go check out my podcast, What's Up Bro, with Wyatt and Bo, in the link down below. Go watch this suggested video, and I'll see you next time.